Vandy, do they have a puncher's chance shooting threes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you play the way that they play, they space the floor, do a great job of moving the ball, moving people, getting to their spots. And I think you've seen how they played in Rupp Arena. I think how you saw them play against LSU. They've got the ability to space the floor. They've got great guard play, you know, in Saban Lee and Scottie Pippen Jr. that can, you know, get by your initial line of defense, which they did against us here a little bit. When they get paint touches, you have to collapse, and that leaves shooters open. And, you know, I think a big thing when you play teams like that is you just can't give them early open looks, something that we talk about, to where they, you know, are in rhythm with their feet, where they're in rhythm with their hands, where they're in rhythm with their eyes, to where they are going to feel good about shooting the basketball.
You guys have been very good at defending the three. What's the key there to defend?
I think it's like I said, I think it starts on the ball. You know, when you have good on-the-ball defenders that can keep the ball in front of you, problems happen defensively whenever teams penetrate, you know, that initial line of defense, and now you're in tags, you're in rotations, and now you're helping to where then teams drive and kick, and now you're playing, you know, in a scramble mode. And I think the amount of possessions, the amount of ball reversals really lead to that for good shooting teams, good passing teams. And I think we did a good job of that on Saturday in Knoxville. You know, whereas Tennessee is, I think, was sixth kind of in the, you know, assisted field goals in the country, and we did a pretty good job, I think, of containing the initial penetration to where that limits then ball reversal for threes.
You guys ever have to worry that Emmanuel isn't going to show up?
I mean, I think that any of our guys, you know, can have an off night. And I think that's one thing that we all have to remember. I think fans have to remember that these are people, these aren't machines, and that they're allowed to play really well. They're allowed to not play to their best. I think the thing about Emmanuel, taking your words, is him not show up. I think Emmanuel shows up every single night. I think he's a guy that competes. I think he's a guy who's focused. He's a guy that's driven. Now, if shots don't fall, sometimes that's the way the game is, but he's going to be a guy that's engaged in huddles. He's going to be a guy that's talking, that's touching, that is ready to play. Now, whether he plays to the best of his ability, like we've seen really since Christmas, obviously we'll have to wait and see, you know, game to game, but I think we're a different team, which we all can kind of go back and look and see how he played against Utah and Ohio State, and that wasn't as well as he's played since then. But even in those games, he was engaged, he was ready to play, he fought, and now he's obviously being more aggressive offensively and making shots.
With Johnny coming on, how much of a luxury is it for you to have four guards who can offer so many different things to the team?
I think Johnny's a guy that has put time in, that is, you know, kind of listened to Cal and always said, you know, you've got to be ready when your name is called or when your opportunity is given. And he's a guy that has put in that time, that's put in the work, but has also stayed confident, stayed hungry. And obviously we need that. You can't go into a season and only expect 4, 5, 6 guys to drive you, and especially if you're going to win the SEC tournament where you have to play 3 games in 3 days, you're going to have some depth, especially on the perimeter. You look back to our game versus Wofford last year in the NCAA tournament, and we had a guy come off the bench that was in a reserve role and played extremely well and gave us some minutes. So you've always got to have a team full of guys that is ready to go, and I think Johnny is much more comfortable in that role, and it's a good thing.
Seems like the team's still trying to figure out how to get that knockout punch from that 10-point lead to maybe 16, pushing it out. Is there a key there to kind of unlocking that as we get closer to March?
Well, I think it's experience, again, of learning to play on the road with a lead, learning to play at home with a lead. You've got still different combinations of guys playing longer stretches. And it's young guys being in certain situations like we were the other day where, you miss the 12-minute timeout, you play for an extended period of time, and we got caught with a lineup that was on the floor that had to play a ton of minutes, and you had guys that were gassed, and you give up a couple different offensive rebounds, you give up a late clock three, and the lead goes, I guess, from, I don't know, what was it, maybe 10 to 4, in a span of 3 possessions. Luckily, then you get 3 straight full timeouts. You get a chance to catch your breath, and then we run away there at the end. But anytime you have young people, you have guys that are learning to play with each other in certain situations, you're going to have those periods of the game that go up and down. And what we all can't get lost on is, there's 13 guys on the other side of the floor that are preparing to play well, that are working hard in practice, and are being coached by tremendous basketball coaches that are going to put them in situations to succeed as well.
Ashton's, obviously, his turnover numbers have gone up a little bit over the last few games. When you put it on the tape, what do you see there?
Ashton is a driven, competitive young man that wants to do well first and foremost. And sometimes, Ashton comes in and is trying to make the right play be perfect. Instead of just taking what's there and getting our team into some offense or taking a shot, he's trying to get guys involved. And I think he's really trying to do what Coach is asking him to do. He's trying to do what our team is asking him to do, and he wants to win more than anything. And sometimes it's unlucky. Sometimes it's him forcing it. Sometimes it's the fact that we haven't had guys play well when they've had their opportunities, and now he's playing extended minutes when he should be coming out and grabbing a quick blow. I don't think it concerns us. I think it's just another opportunity for him to learn and grow. I mean, he's still a young basketball player in the grand scheme of things, and for us, it gives other guys an opportunity to step up and play well, and thankfully for us, they have.
Sounds like you're saying he's trying too hard.
I think everybody at times tries too hard, and I think that goes back to the character of the people that we recruit. I think it talks about how they're coached here. Coach Cal is unapologetic that we teach winning basketball here. We find that in the recruiting process. Guys want to win. You don't come to Kentucky unless you want to win. Ashton's one of them. Emmanuel Quickly is one of them. Really, everybody in that locker room wants to win or they wouldn't be here. As a staff, we all want to win. And that's what's number one for us, is teaching our guys how to play winning basketball. Because if you play winning basketball, you're going to play basketball for a long time.
Obviously, Keon's 9 rebounds are a big factor Saturday. What did he do that allowed him to get those rebounds?
He was active. Keon's an active, live body that doesn't quit the first time he's hit. He had a period of time where he was playing well and then got a little bit sick. I think we talked about that, and now I think he's back feeling 100%. He's practicing really well. He's an active, live body, like I said, that brings tremendous energy. And once again, every time he plays, every minute just gains experience. And that's really what we need for everybody. But for guys like Johnny, guys like Keon, it's big for us moving forward.
How often do you think everybody forgets the other team, the other 13 guys, as you say?
Well, I think that it's pretty well documented by us, by Coach Cal, that we're the team that we're the most worried about every single day. We're not as worried about the other team, but the SEC is a tremendous conference, with great coaches, great home courts. And it's a big deal when Kentucky comes to town. And I think you see teams sometimes play uncharacteristic, for how they have played in the past, because they really want to beat Kentucky more than they want to play well individually. And I think that teams are going to do things. They're going to play well. They're going to play harder. They're going to play more together than they have maybe in previous games. And I think that's why Coach is so dead set on teaching our guys how to play winning basketball for 40 minutes. And this group is starting to really feel that and come together. And I think that's why you see us playing better.
Cal doesn't really take credit for the improved free throw shooting, and yet this team continues to do well. What's your take on that?
I think we have guys that are confident. I think that they have had a demonstrated performance of success making free throws in games, and that's really the biggest thing is when you make them in the games, you're going to feel confident stepping up. I think that when you look at Nick Richards, you talk about Ashton Hagans, you talk about Emmanuel Quickly, guys that have the ball and have been in big-time situations, they're going to be comfortable. But I also think you look at guys that have come into this program or this team this year have been in situations where they've had to take big shots, whether it be in a grassroots game or a high school game. I think you see guys that are playing with more and more confidence daily.
When you watch Vandy, are you seeing a team that you think is starting to figure out a little bit, a little more confident?
Well, I think they're a team that has another very good coach, a good staff that has a tremendous wealth of experience and at the highest level. And I think they're getting a group of folks that haven't had a tremendous amount of success to believe that if they play hard and they play together, that good things will happen. And when you're focused on that, similar to the way we are, I think the results take care of themselves. When you're coaching a group of young people, you don't talk about wins and losses. You talk about your preparation. You talk about building your confidence. You talk about going into every single possession to try to get a good result. And regardless of that result, you head on to the next possession. And like I said, that's something that we do with our guys. And guys come here to be coached that way. And I think you see that with not only with Vanderbilt, but you see that, across the country with teams that are getting better.
One more, guys.
Today is Cal's birthday. What are you guys doing to celebrate or mark the occasion?
I don't know that I have a good answer for that one. I wish I did. I don't know that I think we're going to practice and then we're going to head to Nashville. I think he gets to have dinner with his daughter maybe tonight. I'm not sure. Maybe I would imagine that. But other than that, I'm sure we'll watch some film of us not playing well against Vanderbilt, some film of us playing well against Vanderbilt, and
Maybe somebody coming out of a cake or something. Would be nice.
I don't know. Usually you have to pay good money for that. So.